I wanted to talk today about the three basic arm movements in karate, which, are kind of like the building blocks that we learn from, perhaps the most important. So, of course, there are the punch, shuto uke, and gedanbara, right? Now, let's talk about the punch. The number one issue with the punch is how it's taught, right? So, the punch is taught as a punch, which is where we start to already put our foot in a bear trap. In karate, all muscles are utilized in any given move. In most moves, in about 95% of the moves, that is the case. Unfortunately, due to our label in English, what ends up happening is we call a certain thing a punch, which, I wish we didn't do. Maybe we should call it, Alice or Bob or whatever, but we call it a punch. And therefore, we mentally put focus on the arm when we're executing this move. And for a lot of karate practitioners, that's where it ends. We might as well call this move a reverse elbow, right? Because a punch is equally valid to be called a reverse elbow, right? It is a reverse elbow. And what I tell the people I practice with is, you should be able to break a board with every single punch which is placed on your back, right? With the reverse elbow, with the hikite, right? So today we're going to be talking about the reverse elbow technique. Okay. In this punch / reverse elbow technique, the rest of the body is not stationary. We have a lot of activity going on, especially in the core, both in the front and the back, and in the legs, both in the front and the back, right? We could do punches in place, but that only gets us so far. In order to add the extra kick to it, we need the engagement of the hip. In order for the hip to engage, we need all the other muscles to work together in unison. Okay, that is all talk for most practitioners. Everybody is fully aware of all that. Now, maybe let's talk about the contact of the punch. This is where makiwara usage and knuckle and fingertip push-ups can come in very handy. Okay, we have to, first and foremost, we have to ensure that our front two knuckles are the point of contact. There's more elaborate punches, where we can use other knuckles, but for all practical purposes, we got to make sure that the first layer of the onion, which is the front two knuckles, is what we're practicing on most of the time. Now, what is not maybe readily taught by a lot of instructors is we have to make contact in a punch before the arm has started to turn. Okay, so we don't simply translate the arm, turn the arm, and then make contact. Okay, so that, at least that is not how I prefer it. The reason for that is, as soon as the arm starts to turn, that's where a lot of the forward translationary force is lost. Because all of and it is lost exponentially. All of that push forward is now, the responsibility is now carried over to the shoulders, the deltoid, etc., etc. Whereas prior to the turn, all of the responsibility predominantly resides with the pecs, the triceps, right? And the triceps, believe it or not, are a larger muscle group than the biceps. We have to make sure in karate we have very strong attention to our triceps, right? That's where the push-ups come in. But beyond the push-ups, we have to do more work at it, let's say at the gym and so on. So predominantly it comes down to the pecs and the upper pecs for translating the arm forward. We want to make sure that the contact is made with whatever we're trying to punch during that translationary motion with the front two knuckles, with the palm towards the sky, okay? Once contact has been made, we can pretty much use the rotation to drive forward, okay? So that is very, very important. What we a lot of the times tend to miss with the punches is we turn the arm and the hand, and then we strive to make contact. That is no good for our punches. A lot of the times I've seen, people revisit their punches and only turn the hand halfway to make it more like a kung fu punch or a traditional punch and so on. I've thought about it. I'm still of the old school, that the punch has to be fully turned in, because I do experience all of the lockdown ability and the extra translationary ability that a full rotation provides. But if for whatever reason you find yourself punching with only a half rotation, as long as it works, not a big deal, right? Use it. It should be available in your repertoire. Any rotation should be available in your repertoire. But before contact, we should strive mentally to try and make contact while the arm is still rotated up. And then use the last part of the punch to drive forward, okay? The last thing about the punch, the mental attitude has to be super focused. It shouldn't matter whether there is a piece of paper or a piece of concrete facing the punch. Once we have made the commitment with the punch, we should have zero qualms about what we're about to do. The thinking stage is over, right? Now we're in the execution stage. So the mental commitment and the physical commitment that must be provided to the punch and all the other moves in karate is one of supreme resilience. You just want to plow through whatever is in front of you, basically. And that attitude has to be present in the punch too. So when we're practicing our punches, it is not very useful just to simply punch the air and try to do 1,000 of those. It's much more worthy to maybe do 100, but then do 1,000 if you can, no problem. But make sure each one is rock solid, right? So we have to utilize all available muscles and build it up. Start easy, but then get the mental focus in there. And hopefully that will better your karate. Thank you.